Okay, 4 minutes to go. Will Kenny Willenberg quickly accept a challenge? Let's see. He's so far the highest rated player in the tournament. And he's a bit of a bullet fanatic. So let's see if he's warmed up so far. For the tournament incoming. Yet again, hi guys, sorry. We are here today for the Corona Chess War Team Battle. Not sure if he's going to accept the challenge. It doesn't look like it. Okay, we can try another player. I mean, 4 minutes to go. Maybe he just doesn't want to play a game now. Yeah, and be embarrassed before the tournament starts. So let's see if there's anyone else that wants to play a game. Okay, the challenge is accepted. Okay, I knew I should just wait a second. Okay, let's see. Go 1 e4. And he's going to give us a nice little Evans gambit. Accepted. Throws the bishop back to e7. d6 quickly. He needs to get castled very quickly, and he knows it. What should we do here? I like taking this pawn, going for the queen back here. We could do that. Let's go queen a b3 and try and get the rook in as well. So just upset the queen for a second, and he does what I thought he would, and he's simply going to win another pawn over there. Sneaky. And this is not looking good for me, and this is what I was afraid of. And I'm not losing material just yet. Got some counterplay against this piece that now moved. And oh, he's clever, this guy. 20 seconds. Got the pawn again. And using too much time. Maybe, wait, let's just... whoa! Okay, now I'm getting crushed. Okay, let's resign quickly and see if he wants to play another game. There's still 2 minutes to go. He's ready for another game. And let's do this. We have a Roy Lopez. It's especially tricky to commentate on a bullet game. Loads of respect for Hikaru though. That guy, he plays bullet and commentates all the time. Okay, I think I might be dropping a piece. Oh my. This does not look good. At least the time situations are better this game. Let's sack that pawn. Ah! Walking into some pre-move stuff over there, but he doesn't pick up on it completely. And now I'm down the exchange. Up on the clock. Kenny's not going to gift this game, so I'm going to really have to do something special here. And he resigns. Okay, he doesn't want any more. Down on the clock. Tournament's about to start. And Craig is also in the house. Craig Willenberg cools the MC. Not exactly sure who this is. And wow, well, I'm not sure if you guys actually saw the game. I'm just seeing there for a second that my settings might be a bit off. I hope the previous games were visible. And Western Cape really going to try and take this tournament home today. Let's start with Mr. Kenny. Not seeing the Nachi today. He was playing in my tournament yesterday. Maybe that's enough chess for him for a weekend. And we'll start with one of Kenny's games. He's obviously not paired yet. Not in a pairing. He might need to join the tournament. Did he leave the tournament to play against me? I'm not sure. Okay, meanwhile, Cool's the MC and Craig are in the game, and they've both berserked each other. Wow, this is an interesting event. 4+0. Can we just talk about how the time controls have been differing throughout the Corona Chessor team battles? 4+0 is a very unique time control and allows for berserking, I guess, without the increment. It's not too crazy to berserk, but 2 minutes aside is a slower type of bullet game. And not seeing anything in particular too crazy. Maybe d4 immediately was an option, but now we've got symmetrical pawn structure. Both sides have fianchettoed bishops. Okay, so Cool's the MC, the first one with... Okay, no. Yet again, if this knight was traded, symmetrical pawn structure and not a good outpost for the knight, so Craig doesn't go for it. Interesting choice by the Cools, the MC. Giving up a pawn and another one for, I guess, this pawn. But now this pawn is hanging and I don't see the immediate threat. This square is covered. Meanwhile, Craig has been gaining some space here. Might be trying to do some back rank magic with the bishop on f3. Okay, while the game's ongoing, I need to get another jacket quickly. This room is a bit colder than the rest of the house. I keep on forgetting that every time I come to stream. Cool's down 2 pawns. The time situation's not too bad, I guess. Cool's now setting up some back rank ideas, but f6 avoids a lot of the problems. And Craig has activated his king. And up a third pawn, and that pawn drops with tempo and the bishop is trapped. Cools is going down. And resigns. What does the tournament look like now? Okay. Western Cape with a quick lead, 12 points over there. Still a lot of zeros. Craig in the lead with that berserk win. And some other Western Cape players, actually just Western Cape players, in the top now. Okay, we are going to jump to... Oh, let's watch the rest of Craig's game over here. He's just gone berserk again. His opponent has it, Mr. Kurthen, playing for Joburg Metro. Craig has gambited a pawn, recapturing now. Not down a pawn anymore. This is not a piece because the bishop on g5 is also hanging. Wow, the pin, the fork remains, says Kurthen. I'll pick up a pawn and then I'll go for the fork. Isn't there anything to do here? Knight f3 simply trades and the bishop is gone. Rook e1 though, keeping things very sharp. Your bishop doesn't hang anymore because of this with check, and I think taking the bishop wasn't the correct idea there. Maybe just reinforcing your bishop somehow. Either way, I think Kurthen is now playing down a piece with a very awkward king, and the king will get slaughtered. If you can somehow just get queen e8 in with tempo. Okay, this is a good idea. It's a fork, and f6 simply drops another piece, but queen takes h8 will be checkmate. And Craig doesn't wait for it. Now taking a good lead. 6 points over there. And I'm not seeing the other Willenberg. Okay, no idea where Kenny's in at the moment. Let's, well, Craig is not in the game yet. This seems like a good game. And which of the strong players will be joining us today? I think they might be tired after yesterday. Yesterday was a big chess day. We had a charity event, and well, all the strong players played. This is going to be a good game. Yet again, another game where Craig has decided to go berserk. We have a Roy Lopez with h6, bishop d4, and then the move d4, which is probably a theoretical line. And white takes time though, so it's suggesting that maybe is trying to remember theory. Knows it should be good for him, but cannot remember exactly what to do over there. Gets the pawn back. E5 usually a move. You want to get the center open now that the king is still chilling it out over here. 2 moves to castle. I think this pawn isn't really hanging. Craig won't mind queen takes. You could imagine something like bishop f4. The pin isn't there immediately. Oh, but this seems like it's going downhill for white now. For black. After queen d8 defending the pawn and the threat of check, we can see knight f6 check, luring that king out. And well, it should be game over. Therefore, queen takes, saying the pin is not there immediately. And this also defends the c6 square and the f6 square. So good find, but I think one move, something like queen, bishop d2. I think you can even give away a knight for that check. And it feels close to game over. Craig finds a different way. He says we'll continue applying pressure to this square. And I'll renew the battery threat or the pin in a second. Okay, play with tempo because you really need to get this move in. What about d5 now for black? d5 would have been a good in-betweener. g3. Preparing the bishop f4 move. I wonder what was wrong with playing it immediately. The queen also covers the square. Maybe he's just trying to keep the time situation under control. So we see queen c5, and might be that black has saved himself. It allows rook e1 with check, and you can't go bishop e7 because then the queen hangs. So king d8. What is the reply then? We probably, yeah, bishop check, still covered by the queen. So maybe it trades and then bishop check, king here. It seems fine after the king gets here. Oh, yeah. Suddenly black is fine, and the time situation, black's up a pawn as well. That e5 pawn he grabbed with the queen is now a full. Okay, this I don't completely agree with. Bishop d6 means you're going to have to recapture with your king. And he's going to hold on to the material, say that your bishop is still a bit awkward. How are you getting it out? And meanwhile, I'll use the knight to play with. Rook e7, keeping the pawn at bay. Still just pinning. Also, the king is kind of trapped. I can imagine some kind of tactic resulting here. Maybe knight b6. Oh, he can't do that at the moment. The rook is hanging. So just backing up on the 7th. d5 now. Knight will enter. This is the threat. Still applying this threat, saying knight doesn't need to do that via the e5 square. And also a bit of pressure here. It's currently defended, but you can imagine c4 coming. Oh, the pawn is also hanging. He could have played that with check. The king moves just retreat. Bringing in another piece, saying there's a difference between the knight and there's checkmate now. Okay. So knight d6, a great find. I was considering knight e5, but definitely a stronger move. And that clearly means Craig is in the lead. Cup, also from the Western Cape, running up there with his points. He also needs one more win. I don't know if he's in berserk mode, but we'll stick to Craig as he's doing really well at the moment. And he's still in berserk mode, playing against Falcon, just returning queen d6 after the Scandinavian. And feels like he's setting up queenside castles. Queen d7, or is he looking for an active post for the queen? Queen d8, not going queenside castles, that's not his idea. Queen d8. Queen d7 would have sent the message that I'm trying to get my king to the queen side. Queen d8, however, I'm not seeing a big difference between these squares. Here it is. He wanted to recapture with the c-pawn. Open up the diagonal like this for the queen to become active. Play with 2 pawns in the center. f5, this is where this knight's heading. Oh. He just simply, he says maybe he can come back for that f5 square somehow. No, he wants f5 physically. He wants a pawn there and then f3. Choking his opponent. Rook f4 is a good outpost for the rook. Unfortunately, you're not too quick with your attack, so he brings another piece in. Now down a pawn, but maneuvered this knight to where the previous knight was, so that it can go to this beautiful f5 square, where it is on an outpost. These double pawns ensure that the knight can never be challenged. And, well, we might see something of queen there. That could be a kind of smothered mate. So the rook can annoy the queen another move. But I'm thinking queen takes here is devastating and probably game over. So don't move that rook. So retracting my words. The queen, the rook can't really harass the queen anymore. Queen g2. This game is also looking good for Craig. He's now down a second pawn. But this activity versus 2 pawns, I choose the activity any day. He could start off maybe with knight d2. I'm not too sure. This idea is also maybe a practical idea. You will get some material back. Okay, he goes for it. Well, the queen needs to move first of all. And we're going to see knight. Well, the knight can't take actually. Can it take? What's the idea? Queen takes rook. And then you're up the exchange. 53 seconds on the clock though. Be careful. You're going into an endgame up the exchange, but your opponent has a knight and a pawn for everything. And you've only got 51 seconds, so sometimes these choices seem logical. Okay, his opponent declines trading queens and says that going for the endgame is going to be a simplified position. And I want to keep the time advantage on the clock and make things tricky for you. Rook f4. Finally the rook gets to this good outpost, which the knight occupied previously. Preparing to battery with rook f8 and breaking through the f3 square. Knight g5 could be an answer to some of these things tactically. He says no, okay, let's get rid of the queens now. You've dropped 10 seconds on the clock. Now it's time for endgame. My knight's on the outpost. These pawns can be protected. Okay, he doesn't protect the pawn. Oh, he gets the material back, and this is what you should have been afraid of as a black. b6 is necessary, and now after c4, you're still gonna have to have a hell of a game over here. You played really well to win that exchange, blundered it back against that knight, and now you need to get an active king and rook. But we have seen Craig play great rook pawn endgames before. Active king, active rook. These are important ingredients. And now he's got one big commodity in his side of the game. This passed h pawn. And he starts pushing it immediately. Says the pawns in the center aren't too great. Your rook's still going to have to spend one move, c3, to get into the game over there. And I could possibly try and make something out of this pawn. Okay, king d6 I could imagine. Rook a3. Saying the king has got the responsibility of babysitting this pawn. Now Craig is going down. b4. But after the check, moving your king up. Whoa, be careful, that's mate. And this game does not look fresh. You could imagine even king d6 blocking check with c6. That would be very terrible. And now Craig wants to get in some backwards checks, but c7 check, king here and rook down. That would have been game over. But okay. Now simply making a queen, I imagine. And Craig is going to rue the day that he berserked in this game. And did this cost him his lead? It did. Monster 1979 now takes the lead. The Western Cape already with a whopping 117 points. Only 17 minutes passed so far in this tournament. And dominating over here. The Western Cape players. Here we have the player that is now in first place, Monster 1979. And the Monster is eyeing the c2 pawn. I think tactically it's maybe possible to go after it. But yeah, he's evaluating and he said it's okay. I can play rook c1 now. And after knight c5, what is his big plan? Yeah, this is the position I wasn't too sure of, and I think the Monster not too sure himself anymore. I'm not seeing the response to the knight now being trapped. The knight has nowhere to go. It is under attack by the queen and the rook. So he goes bishop f4. It allows rook takes c7, and Haley should be playing this now. I don't know what's wrong with taking. Oh, that's just my internet connection. That's what's wrong with taking, is my internet is just not updating that the move has happened. Sorry. So it happened, and then the move. Here's the idea: b4 to pin the rook against the knight, but knight e6 is possible, and now you're playing with tempo against the queen. So check first, and queen f5, and now he's admitting he's playing down a piece, and we've reached the current position that we are at now. By the way, he's probably not just going to lose this knight because of a trap. g6 looks like a pretty big threat, and well, okay, he's actually lucky at the moment. Well, okay, the internet is bothering me. I'm quickly going to set up another hotspot. Hopefully it updates. Here we go. So g6 could have liquidated, and the knight would have been hanging over here. Sorry, so, whoa. So there had been moves. The rook's traded, and knight here. Now g6 is a real threat. So queen has to back off, and we have b5. And hopefully the game lasts while I quickly make another hotspot. So the monster seems to be going down. Nice mate threat on board, and momentum's changing. Also, this activity of the queen is now attacking the b5 square. Okay, so this is why I'm sorting stuff out now. Luckily, we've still got a long tournament to go. So stupid. We missed a few moves again. I apologize. Yeah, Haley's also got a big time advantage, so I really doubt this game is going to have a different result than the monster having his first loss. Um, I really doubt it. Oh my word. Yet again. Haley burning some time there. And finally a timeout. Okay. Western Cape 169. 50 for Gauteng North. It does not look like they have got any competition today. Hans Stein though showing his face here, and this is good. He's being the competition for Gauteng North. Not going down against the Western Cape players. And we all know Hans Stein. It's the Sunnyside Bull. And he usually, well, plays a lot of blitz in bars. So this guy is probably at home, made a home bar for himself to play a bit of blitz in, hopefully. And keeping the tradition alive. And hopefully now... Okay, stuff is going to be off for just a sec. Okay. It's going to reconnect now. And here we go. Okay, there shouldn't be any issues anymore. Okay, he has berserked, but the time situation seems quite fair for the time being. It doesn't look too bad. He's got the weakness on c5. The rook is on a great outpost on d5, but Solimu has been spending loads of time getting into this situation. And equal on the clock now. Psychologically, the berserker is going to try and take control now, and does so immediately after the rook falls back. The d4 square becomes the square of competition, and the d5 square as well. And now you can choose to just make the pawn structures symmetrical. They agreed to a draw here. Very interesting. I would have tried going for the win. I guess after you manage to berserk and get to that type of position, you're only getting 2 for a draw in any case. If you're on fire, either way, really would have maybe tried something more there. Chess Gamer from the Western Cape, it says he's from the USA, is now in a game against the Sunnyside Bull, who's gone berserk again, and this feels like it's come from another e4 d5 opening. Nothing too interesting so far. Bishop on d6 isn't too weak. The Sunnyside Bull is now preparing to fianchetto. The bishop will kind of stay here, I guess. Trying. Oh, now the bishop's perfectly placed. That pawn was hanging. I would have gone for the pawn. b3, and your queen is suddenly sliding in as well. King here, and you're really wondering if you really wanted that pawn that desperately. In any case, maybe the Sunnyside Bull knows that pawn is poison and isn't going to spend too much time on this. And we're going to have a super aggressive game here. A kingside attack versus a queenside attack. The Sunnyside Bull saying, I'm not going to even use a different pawn. I just want to open up the file for my rook. And it should be a slaughterhouse then. Also wondering when we will see the move bishop d5. claiming that square. And if I had to pick a side, I think I'd choose black here. I like attacking on the queen side more than trying to castle king side and surviving. Okay, these last few moves have helped white quite a bit. Bishop a2 is also an option. And keeping an eye on f7. In either way, the rook is now really covering this b4 square. And the Sunnyside Bull is now dropping a piece, dropping this e7 pawn if the chess gamer really wants it. The Sunnyside Bull won't resign just yet. There isn't an attack anymore, and just it's the slight feel that you could do something with your knight and bishop against this rook. Instead it says, no, wait, let's retreat, defend for a second, and then throw away a pawn. Trying to read into some of the Sunnyside Bull's ideas here, but it seems like he's going down now. Not much to be said. Breaking through on f7, more than enough coordination from white. 3 attackers, and this is now mate. I think you can just simply go for the mate immediately. But this is now walking into mate, and now black resigns. What does that mean? That means that the chess gamer now takes a lead, and the Sunnyside Bull has gone down for the second time, having gone down his first game and then this last one we just watched. And still no sign of Kenny Willenberg, who was the top seed of the tournament. Chess gamer against Mr. Dalpat. And they've both gone berserk. We have a Sicilian with c3 immediately challenging the center. And bishop c4. Oopsie, dropping a pawn, but is there some compensation for this? None. You only get your bishop out really early. e5 was possible, and black says, no, let's retreat. I'll develop later on. I know it's still going to take a while to get castled. I probably need my knight on e7. I don't want to give away too much space, I guess. Bishop c5, and my verdict is trickier. White, very aggressive now, says, I know which side you're castling to, and we'll blow this side of the board open. Still very awkward for black to develop, but look at this entire queen side. Meanwhile, there's an attack on the king side. Now, I would have really liked the move bishop d6. The only problem is the bishop on c4. So I'm guessing we're going to see something similar after bishop takes. You can play h6 immediately. Nope, you want the file. When the file opens, it's very easy to attack. Now somehow the queen needs to come over. Tactically is the way to do it quickly. Maybe just queen g4. Okay, he says queen here and here. Be careful of bishop g7, just cutting your queen out forever. In any case, he's setting up a queenside castle. And the chess gamer, if I had to put my money on it, might just queenside castle right away. No, be careful. Still some ideas of queen pins against that king. Yeah, now the game is really on. There's this rook is hanging. First take a pawn with check. And the chess game is going to be getting this game. Hasn't castled yet, but there's no sneaky rook around to do any real damage. Queen takes h6, you can trade down queens immediately. And now since I said he's going to queenside castle, we have a kingside castle kind of just straight away. Only up an exchange, and well, I like this dark squared bishop. It's unopposed for the time being. You can go bishop g7. It's still got some range. But the rooks, they're huge pieces. Also, this pawn's hanging. Okay, doesn't want the pawn. Wonder what was wrong with that pawn. b2's hanging, these pawns are hanging. Rook can come to c7 as well. Okay, queen h6. I think rook c7 is the idea over here. Not seeing bishop e5 and queen h2 too quickly. Nope, wants the pawn. Black is now, might just try a rook left. No, that would not be cool. You'd simply get mated. Time situation is becoming pretty narrow. Dalpat should just be trying to keep material on the board. Things can become very tricky now. Bishop g7, I guess. The queen's still protecting the bishop, counter-attacking. Using a lot of time for all of this. Bishop f4 finally gets what he wants. This move. And he could not have been there for a second. Now, how will we see the game simplify? Queen e and... oh. Okay, so the chess game is going to be able to convert this. Got more than enough time on the clock. That last fork was very devastating. That bishop sack wasn't completely necessary though. Maybe just keeping things simple, not being too extreme, would have been quite a great idea, I think. From who did he just play against? Chess gamer against... I can't remember. Okay, what are we going to be seeing now? Chess gamer is in a pairing against Mazanus Hacker, and Greg is in a pairing against Falcon 979, and he's on fire, and potentially he can take the lead now. We watched some of his games in the beginning. He's berserked again, so he's looking for a full 5 points. Materially, it's still balanced. His position seems more... Ooh, that last move is pretty cool. What's the problem with knight takes c3? Is white prepared to give up the rook and pawn with the king in the center for 2 minor pieces? I'd be thinking this is a good idea. Yeah, he goes for it. Okay, so bishop takes, king here. Was the idea to throw the knight back? Castle with tempo against the bishop on a8. Okay, I don't know why. Yeah, okay, he could just as well take there. Now he's just up a pawn. I think going for the other line might have been dropping the 2 minor pieces for rook and pawn, and that's not something you want to really do. Someone please help me. King takes d3. That's a real threat. Unless we have some madness over here. The king is very weak, maybe. Oops, counterattack. Rook f7. Oh no, move your... Okay, he's prepared to go for this endgame. Very, very crazy. Pawn on e6 is also a problem. And just like that, the initiative just falls over to the Falcon. No more game for Craig Willenberg. This is not going to be his game. And I'll put my money on that. Knight takes e6 is also a threat. White is just trying to get more pieces off of the board. Move your rook off of the c-file, and suddenly the c-file is white's to use, so you can't do that. Rooks are traded, but now you've got only a rook and bishop left. And a weak e6 pawn. You might need to run back for this pawn. White can immediately challenge your bishop for the 7th rank. And Craig has gone offline. Has he gone offline? Lichess has been weird lately. Yep, Craig is just running his time down. Thinking to himself, why did I not make this game more complicated? Why did I blunder my bishop on d3? Forgetting the king is also a piece. I think a lot of players do that. King is also a piece you can play with, and the chess gamer now takes the lead. Sunnyside Bull has now lost the 2nd game against... well, he did not lose, right? But after a loss, when you lose and you draw immediately, does that only give you 0 points? A draw out of nowhere? Oh, he maybe just drew that game. I don't know. Why did he get no points for this game? It was a draw, but they probably played more than enough moves, and they repeated on at move 30. In a situation where black was slightly better. In any case, I have no idea why that is so. But he's got another Berserk win in and he's just starting a game. So we'll watch Hanstein play against Libos plays. Gone Berserk again. And playing against the player from the Western Cape. The team that's really just dominating today. Zero regard for other teams. And we have something like an Aljekain. I'm not sure what to call this. But wow, look at this Tetris formation. White says, give me the central clasp. I might be able to expand via c4. And Libos is going to win, not going to win the game necessarily, but this is an outpost, I guess. So you need to be careful with this knight. That's what he does. Libos is saying, you're serious, man. Our ratings are pretty close. Yeah, you really want to berserk me? So be it. But 2 minutes is not your average berserk. It's usually start these super blitz games with 3 minutes aside, so a minute and a half, and then you hopefully have gotten to something that looks like a middle game when you have a minute left on the clock. Here he's already pretty deep into the position and still got a minute and a half. This should be enough time for the Sunnyside Bull as he manages to pick up a pawn here through a fork, and now he's playing up a pawn, still half the time on the clock. His opponent has used about 45 seconds and he's used about 30. And you really want to make sure this knight sticks on the square, but that move is not possible immediately. It says let's get rid of queens and we can discuss the d4 push someday. Oh no. Oh no. He just self-pinned himself. That must be heartbreaking. Losing the game after that move. Nothing to do. I thought he'd go for this, but rook takes c2. Wait. Yeah. And you're down a piece. Taking the rook would not be a good idea. You'd go into the last endgame as white. So Libos finds an extra piece. Now, 2 minutes up on the clock. And the Sunnyside Bull, whoa, hoping there for some back rank, is not going to get anything. Might get a few pawns off. He might have some hope, I guess, of... he wants rook here. Gonna make a passed pawn. But this pawn's just gonna get chopped off. He really needs to get his king active. That's what he's doing. And king here, knight there. That's a pretty big threat around about now. Your king only has one square and the c7 pawn can also fall. Be careful, black. That's why he goes for f6. Knight check. Goes back for the pawn instead. King should become active. I really don't think there should be any waiting around anymore. Knight check and the king is coming in. Maybe the Sunnyside Bull has got something to hope for with this d3 pawn. By the way, the rook just cuts off the king from entering the position even more. We see rook d4 and the square is now cut off. Also no accessing the rook. Very cool idea here. Gonna try and shove the rook away and come back for this idea. Maybe get a second pawn in the line. But there's quite a lot for white to do. White should not lose this game. Yeah, for instance, you can come back for the e5 pawn and now you're kind of walking into mate. Yep. So Hanstein going down in that game. Well, losing a big bit of that lead over there. We have Offer Asabi, Offer Asabi or something, in second place. Now playing against Chess Gamer. And Chess Gamer's got a huge lead. They've both gone berserk. They're in a materially equal position. What's my verdict of the position? Positionally, I don't know. Knight e2 check. And the king needs to go to h1. There's possibly a perpetual here. If the king goes to h2, you could consider getting your queen in as well. So I'm guessing this is a perpetual if black wants it. If black wants to play for more, you might have an extra tempo move here. You might have time to bring in your queen if you really want to. Although taking there comes with check, so what to do? You can check the king. If it goes to h2 though, what is your master plan? Knight f1 check, but rook takes f1. Queen takes f1. Queen takes e8 check. Wait a minute, what's wrong with the rook takes f1? If the king, if you get this check in the, well, this is just a rook, right? I think both players are missing things over here. The time situation is bad, but number one has just gone down, and this is good news for the other players in the tournament, because that lead was starting to become pretty big. And Joburg Metro now with the second place on fire, trying to get that first place, not in the team standings, just individually. But wow, look at Western Cape Chess's overall stats. Their last player has got more points than Sari Bartman's district's first player, and this is with 40 minutes past in the tournament. So really crazy. And now I want to see what's in my inbox. Okay, this is just crazy. I think we should just look at this Western Cape chess team. 50 players. That is just great. 330 points. The last player has got more than the second place's best player, just to emphasize that point yet again. So we really have these players so far looking to contend for that first place. It could be that Matt Pon or Quadri still joins us today. I have no idea if they will. The Sunnyside Bull. This time he's not gone berserk, so he respects number one, I think. And the position is very closed. Will allow for some tactics. Black can develop with some tempo. Yep, he chooses to do so with his knight. That bishop's currently undefended. Chess Gamer trying to be active as well, playing with tempo. This square is available if Black really wants to break through on the second rank. Everything's still defended. How big a threat is d5 after that line? I don't know. I'll have to go look again. Queen can step out, but you'll be stepping into a pin. So maybe Queen a7. No, he says Queen b6 instead. And Black will now manage to win a pawn. No. The Queen needs to be able to recapture. No, wait, Black can win a pawn because of the pin. So bishop takes e5. Oh, this is actually more tricky, sorry. There's no pawn hanging. There's some tricky tactics going on in the center. The Sunnyside Bull is calculating bishop takes e5, but I think bishop takes d5. You've got this intermezzo check, and then you can recapture your knight. So he's looking at this after bishop takes e5. What else could white try? I think knight takes e6, and then the knight covers the d5 square, but then you've got f takes e6. And the pin is still there. Sunnyside Bull, he can go grab a pawn, and he does so. Here's the move we did not consider. Wait, we did actually. Now bishop takes. Okay, so he played in the correct sequence, the one we just discussed. And he's now up a pawn, but drops this e7 pawn after all of that. Still preferring him a lot over here. Did he just drop this bishop somehow? I know this is being counterattacked. What are the tactics? There's nothing. Okay. This e1 square is likely still being covered by the bishop. Sunnyside Bull will be trying to break through here. Meanwhile, he's been up 2 pawns, but Now the time situation is becoming equal. So white definitely looking for this tactic. Black has got some ability, I guess. Walks into the tactic, says, there's something back here for me. I think he might have overlooked this. Queen f3. Queen f6, I mean. I think this is the move. Queen f6. With mate in 1. Oh, not... That's not a mate threat, excuse me. He's gonna go... Is he gonna go back for the knight? He can. But there's this rook d8 threat. And he's gonna be playing down some material. He's gonna be holding on. There's maybe still some hope with these two pawns. If they can get rolling... And white needs to get this diagonal very quickly. So something like queen d6. This makes more sense. Just roll those pawns. I would have tried c2 immediately. You can throw the bishop back. Okay, now we are in business. The king really needs to switch with the queen, I guess. Very quickly. That pawn drops with check. And the time situation is looking good for white. He's been the one with less time the whole time. He's going to like this. Be careful not to create too many checks. They're tricky to deal with under time pressure. And as you just saw, the white queen just retreats. And there's a check. Running the king up. That seemed like an idea. King h4. Oh, bishop here, queen here. Okay. Here might be a bit of some kind of a draw. Bishop, oh no, and Sunnyside Bull gets his queen. The bishop just stopped communication. Chess gamer taking a breather, deciding he needs to stop these checks. Sunnyside Bull says no, let's trade queens. He should start checking himself now. The time situation is very low. And this check, mate, should be the way you finish the game. In any case, let's see what's happening in the tournament. Okay, we see those huge standings over here, and today, well, I think it's good this is being recorded, so any player in the Western Cape can just go down the files and say, hey, look at the region I come from. You guys ever get to 400 with... well, I'm going to put my money on 800 as the final score. They're going to go over 400 soon. But one thing that might happen is more players might withdraw as the tournament comes along, realizing that they won't be helping the cause a lot by offering points to Western Cape players. But we will have our strong players like the Sunnyside Bull fighting it out there for Gauteng North or for Rasabi. Also playing here against Rowan now, I think from the Western Cape. And up some material. Yep, Rowan now. And how to convert this? He's gone berserk. Managed to win some material, but it's... no, he's actually not up material. This is a rook bishop versus a queen. And actually he's got the 2 pawns as well. There you see the material. Count also very quickly. And yeah, drops another pawn. Sets up this trap. But I'm sure this is not a big trap. Rook e3 or even, well, rook b3 or just stepping out of that is the solution. Now I might be considering some way as black to get rid of this bishop, even if it's worth a rook. I think it's worth a rook here. It's just glued in so well, looks along the diagonal and helps coordination. Okay, black finding a pawn. Going to find another pawn maybe. Defending the pawn. And now this pawn drops. Wonder what's the problem with that pawn. Okay, so that pawn, there was no problem. And this queen is pretty much saying, okay, I want a pawn. We might have some ideas. There's unfortunately no perpetual. Okay. Black now simplifies a bit. Oh, that's quite a cool move. Oh, this changes stuff. Now we're going to get this check. Okay, so it did simplify in a very fancy way. White realizing he doesn't need to recapture that rook and allow the queen in. But getting a very similar position, I guess, with just the bishop on c2. Oh, that's a big blunder there by Rowan now. He had this game. And now he's going to go down. The queen, the rook without the bishop is kind of useless. By the way, queen b3 was also perfectly possible. Just marching this pawn through and also going after the a3 pawn. But we're going to see some kind of rook fork now. Yeah. King here, queen here. So the king there should have been your only option. So the rook falls and it should be a resigner. Let's just see if Rowan now resigns. He's shaking his head on the other side. Not going to play a few more moves. And let's jump to what the chess gamer is up to. He's playing against Falcon 1979 from Nelson Mandela Bay. And wow, that's a move. Remember these e6 squares when you're playing against black. It's always nice to get a knight there. And he has some material. You can win it back immediately. He says, wait just a second. I'll throw in this in betweener as well. You've gone berserk. You're missing some things in the position. Wow. And who's the one that really missed something here? I think both sides missed something, but black has now got two minors versus these rooks. And the king is now suddenly open. That move, that intermezzo allowing queen takes e6 was missed by Falcon. Great move there by the chess gamer. And queen c3 was to stop this check. So the knight will be entering soon with the help of the bishop. And I quickly need to get a cable, but the game should continue while I'm gone. Oh, okay, no, it's not going to continue. This is game over. The queen now drops. Chess game has got more than enough time, more than enough material. And, well, okay, 40 seconds to a minute. This should be easy stuff. Queen wants to enter, it says no. Rook d2 is also pretty cool. By the way, this is also a nice sequence. Get your rook to d2, and then h4, king takes. I think you can throw this bishop check in just to win the rook, but I'm not seeing a direct mate after queen. But we're going to see h4 probably now. Seems pretty forcing. Okay, he's going for the same idea, but just in a stronger way. Pawn moves up, and then this is checkmate. Either way, the chess gamer is getting his checkmate in very quickly now. Check, okay. This move buys some time for white. But now queen takes pawn. And where's the mate? Where's the mate? Show me the mate. You don't want to get flagged. I think bishop here. He says, just give me another queen. This game is over. I'm not going to waste time find a mate. Just give me another queen. Okay, can't give me another queen. He's probably going to run this pawn too. Just gobble the pawn. You've got more than enough time. Be careful with stalemates. The queens are actually cutting off loads of squares. Run to the center. That's usually an idea. But queen c4 is checkmate. And let's remain on the chess gamer's TV. He's on 37 points over there. While I quickly get the cable. And as I was walking in, I didn't see the pairing. I just saw the typical c3 things chess gamer does against the Sicilian. And he's playing against Sunnyside Bull. I thought that the idea of the knight here wasn't to go after that pawn, but it could be. Typical Sveshnikov knight on a3. And these two players have now gained some respect for each other. If you can see there. Where am I clicking? Down here in the lifetime score. 2-1 to the Sunnyside Bull. And that means they're not berserking each other anymore. The game is real. They need the time. Bishop h6, nice move, but the rook isn't around anymore, so bishop h8 I'm expecting. He might be wanting the queen to enter. I can't see how that's good with the knight coming to g5. And f6 being the only move to prevent it. Dropping that beautiful g6 square. So bishop h8 to prevent all of that. And the queen enters in any case. King h7 might be necessary by now already. To prepare this f6 move. And also to put some pressure on this bishop. I'm not sure, maybe there was some threat of d6. b4. And finally king h7, now with tempo. b4 was said with emphasis because black is making some space for himself here on the queen side. And a very close structure. You need to do something with the knight now. Now the pawn's not under fire. Whoa, gambits the pawn. Did he not realize that pawn's not defended? Now I want to play c5. c5 immediately as well. And white stands the better. That extra pawn makes a huge difference. Keeping the bishop on a3 was also an option. What happened on this side of the board though? Whoa. Black just resigns. And we don't see the Sunnyside Bull ever just resign. But this is just too much. The queen can enter via here. He's done a piece. I think... Oh, e6 was just a piece blunder. Ah, chess gamer in a true lead over here. Oferasabi is not backing out, and we see Maximind, who's 8th in Willenberg. He's also running up these standings, joining the other Willenbergs here for the Western Cape battles. And he's got 2 pawns for a bishop, and how healthy are these 2 pawns? Oh, the f2 pawn is potentially just a target along the f-file. He's trying some back rank ideas, but black has now sort of said that the back rank's fine. I can now try rook takes f7. And if you really want to move your rook, whoops, now you're the one with some back rank issues. So, Ethan trying to sort this one out. Could be that g3 is a possibility. Okay, he keeps things complicated. Queen e6. Neither of these pieces can be taken because the other one will take the remaining rook, and that would be mate. Is this tactic an obsolete way of winning? I'm not sure. What should black do here? I'm just guessing move the rook. Also, this rook move seems pretty good. Your queen's also in time to recapture. And at the end of the day, after all of the tactics, you should get the d-file. Black makes the same point. You take, I'll just recapture with my other rook. And there's a weird harmony between those pieces. Finally, we see g3 from Ethan saying, okay, there's just too much coordination on this square. This bishop on d4 as well. Actually, where's your queen going now to defend the bishop? Rook takes, queen takes, and we see the same harmonious thing happen. But now Ethan, I think, has blundered. Blundered a rook. Rook takes e6, right? Rook takes and rook takes. Black is fine. No even pinning that last rook because of this bishop takes check. And we're going to see this, hopefully. Bishop takes check, and you losing this rook as well. I'm going to have a resigner over here. Some easy hacker. Lucky there. In the end, it seemed like Ethan was being very resourceful. And this is the hour mark of the tournament. We've been watching the tournament for an hour. 463. I hope they're not slowing down, because my prediction was 800. And what I was also saying, it would be tricky to get to 800 because the other players would be leaving the tournament. For instance, we just have one player for City Bang. Okay, so chess game is still in the lead. Maximind really ran up there without berserking any games. And let's see what's up in Oferasabi's game. He's playing against the famous Western Cape player Panageo, and they've gone berserk against each other. Second place versus 15th place. Panageo already up a pawn, but I prefer black's position. This is a huge center. Also, f5 is sometimes such a tricky move to get into the game. And now it's supporting this square. And some coordination here on e5. Dropping another pawn, but we know Oferasabi doesn't care about pawns, man. He's gonna defend, I guess, the d pawn with his rook. Oh, he's dropping the d pawn now. Whoa, okay, this does not look good anymore. While the d pawn was there, the situation seemed fine. Okay, so my idea as black here would be to get e3 in and somehow... Oh, but white is just ruining all of these plans. Luckily for now, the knight's still contained. White now actually looking to just trade down some material. I'm guessing you can start with rook d8. But h6 is a mystery. You want to run your queen away like this? This is just the flight square for the king. Was there some back rank opportunities there for black? Okay. Not using the other rook means he is fine with the perpetual. So he's fine with making a draw. That's what it psychologically says. Panageo says no, let's play for the win. Gonna need to throw the queen back somewhere, but now we're gonna see f5 or even my previous idea, e3. Just trying to weaken this pawn. E3 might have been a bit stronger. Just getting rid of the defender of the g pawn. Because now I'm actually, in return, I'm scared of g4. Is he planning to sack? No, that doesn't work. Needs to run the knight back. Can potentially sack the knight again. Or the bishop and then have the knight on this square. Meanwhile, white is not doing a great job with his position, although he's 3 pawns up. I don't like this move. You're getting cramped. And the knight's around. Your queen's not doing a good job. The knight would have liked a square like this. Okay. Oferasabi says no. Quickly pick up another pawn. I'm not down 3 pawns anymore. Queen b6. I'd like some kind of coordination here somewhere. He is dropping a rook. Oh no. Anything could still happen. This should be a potential... Queens get traded off. Panageo with 20 seconds. He's going to get this one. He's going to get this one. This pawn's defended, and now the pawn's running through. Need to give the bishop up, I guess. And Oferasabi going to look for some drawing. Wow, he's got a bit of a cocoon over here. He should get the... Oh, wait a minute. This is not a draw just yet. Panageo can run a pawn through. Whoa. Lucky stuff over there. Lucky. And what does that do to the overall standings? Not seeing... There comes Panageo, 25 with fire. Joining the house over there. And wait a minute, he just took down Oferasabi, but meanwhile, Chess Gamer is still really running away with this tournament. In a big pairing again, Hans Stein again against him, and well, they have now completely equal scores. Remember in the previous game, the Sunnyside Bull blundered a bishop. So he's going to be looking to rectify that mistake. Giving away a pawn. And you could probably debate how good the idea was. Okay, he gets the pawn back. If black had played knight c7 earlier, I would have preferred black. I try to hold on to this extra e pawn. You've got the f-file as well. This isn't such a big weakness. It's a kind of a central pawn. You can try and do something with it one day. Play along the light squares with it, or... In any case, still a long way to go in this game. Those two knights were protecting each other for a second over there. And now this d6 pawn, this is where the Sunnyside Bull wants to enter the position. Knight going there immediately could just get traded off, so it doesn't look like there's anything. Bishop going there, however, seems like a commodity. Instead, some mysterious moves back here. Now you... Whoa, playing with some tempo, playing with tempo. Bishop could have also taken the file instead, retreated to e5 with the knight, but instead says, whoa, let's bring the rook that's on the a file, that's just looking at this a2 pawn, let's bring it in the game with tempo, put some pressure on this knight, and before I solve the issue of my own knight, here's a nice tactic. Unfortunately, it doesn't win any material. It's just that knights we have trading down with style and flair. Unless his plan is to keep the knight on d6 and claim that... No, that's not the plan. The knight is stronger than the rooks, especially on this square, which is actually a pretty decent point to make. Now, however, they're trading down. White says double this pawn, I can go after your weak a pawn, and it's on a light square, so your bishop won't be around to defend it. Also, look at how poor your bishop is. So I'm going to see rook a1 now, just going after this weak pawn. No rook. Going to the c file, maybe to the 7th first before going for the a pawn. And while I was saying, okay, the game was interesting, it looks very drawish now. Even if black loses the a pawn, he should just make sure white doesn't become too active, I guess. Which white is trying to do immediately. Trade the pawn. And now you wish you could get that pawn to d5. Because the king is coming to d5. And liking white again. The Sunnyside Bull really traded down into an endgame which would have given him two results, either a draw or a win, which is how you want to play chess. Rook c8 is, or rook c7, rook c8, possible. King d5. d5, is there some... Okay, he's setting up mate. Wow. You need to give this pawn away. Black needs to give the pawn away. Choosing to play d5 was going after this concrete idea. Moving the king could have maybe as well. The king move would have been seeking king activity, while d5 was just trying to glue this bishop to the d6 square. And wait, is he just picking up a piece in this line? Wait, that was a piece blunder a move ago. And he set up mate instead, trying to see if the bishop will move. And now only picks up the bishop. And I completely missed the piece blunder, trying to figure out if the mate could work. But the Sunnyside Bull is up a piece now. And he's going to rectify the score over there. It's still going to be a lead for him. And unfortunately, I don't think there's any progress to make here as black. You can ignore that for now as well. Yeah, he's just going to ignore it completely. The pawn will double itself. And they are going nowhere. He says, I'll take my time. I'll go pawn shopping. And one day we'll just cut the king off over here. Possibly they could... Well, you can play rook e4 check now. The rook could have moved away. Check against the... In any case, black has had enough. White just picked up this pawn and... There's really nothing to do. The king can go nowhere. Up a piece. We'll go pushing these pawns, hunting down even more pawns. And that means Ofarasabi is... Well, he doesn't... He's not close to chess gamer anymore without fire. Although the chess gamer is also without fire and a new player has entered. Brian DP from Western Cape. Another Western Cape player. And he's been berserked here by Cools the MC. Cools the MC, if we remember correctly, Hunstein berserked him earlier, and he did not berserk back. In this game, he has berserked. Wait, no, he's been berserking, I think, Cools the MC. rook takes a4. That's a piece, right? And Cools is now definitely going... Well, got some activity there. Those bishops are pretty good. The knight, however, makes a bit of a fortress. Knight on f7 is also such a nice piece to have. You can just throw it to that e6 square when you need it there, or that's what he does immediately. And you can back off the queen. Keep it active. I think bishop b6 would have been awkward. Now the queen can possibly enter the position. And Cools is holding on, but he's still playing down a piece. So I don't think he's gonna achieve anything. Also down on the clock, so although he's threatening d6 here, and if the king moves, d6 is a good move in any case. Just simply because the light squared bishop will be useless. So Cools has got something here. It needs to be traded, and d6 needs to be played yourself. But now, e6 I've been saying, d6 is now on the board. And can the queen be sly? Brian says, no. Look at this. Moving my queen 8 squares to the other side of the board just to stop that one check. And now I feel like I can regain control. These 2 pawns are dropping. I can possibly take this one as well, get out of the checks like this. But no, he's going to try and set up a mate attack. Be careful for perpetuals. I don't think they're already there after bishop g7. So bishop c6, queen takes check, bishop g7. And why? Start with bishop g7 if this was your idea. Whoa. King here. What can white do now? This is mate. And it's mate, and Cools knows it. Nothing to do with his queen anymore. No more checks. Well, look, I'm lying. No more proper checks to keep the game going. And now he's just watching his time run out. Chess Gamer still in the lead. Brian DP with that win now overtakes Oferasabi. He's still on fire and seems like he's going to be playing a great tournament. 41. Can he possibly catch Chess Gamer, who seems to be taking a bit of a slump over here? And overall standings 571. They're going to hit 600 before any other team even gets to 200. Who knows? And will that 800 score be on the board today? I don't know. Look at this top 10 standing. Nearly all players, Western Cape chess players. Oferasabi really sticking out over there. But the Western Cape chess players wearing down all the other players. Let's see if Brian DP is in a pairing. He is, and he's against a player, Snar LJ. And wow, look at look at this. Just 3 pawns quite high up in the board, saying, "Give me the space." And I wonder how this came about. Looks like a Roy Lepers type of thing, or white getting this b4 move in. Maybe the bishop was on c5. Maybe an Evans gambit rejected. Did I miss anything important? It feels the c pawn disappeared. White was up the pawn though, so now down a pawn. Without this mass anymore. Not the greatest times. You really need to play this now because the bishop will be hanging. So suddenly white again with a material advantage. But the queen does get one tempo move. So chooses b7, b2 to attack the f2 square from. Never mind, says white. I'm gonna mate you. Whoa, that got sharp. White just losing a rook. There's no mate. King h8, g7 pawn is covered. And yet again, material equality. Queen e5, queen takes, and we will nearly have structural equality except for white with some potential of making a passed pawn. Black with an already passed pawn over here. In any case, black with this last move might have been a bit too slow. Liking white's chances now. Going to get one of these pawns. Not much to do for black, and the queen is suddenly misplaced. I'd start with the central pawn. Something like this could be met with check or simply doubling your pawns. In any case, starts with the outside pawn. This pawn could hold black's position together. But in the endgame now, white should have two outside passed pawns and not too many issues, I guess. These passed pawns, they did roll. The rook was on the 7th and nothing became of this e-pawn. Well done to Brian, and this should mean he's close to taking that lead. Chess Gamer says, no, I'll continue fighting. And, well, how's he gonna... This is his position though, so he'll be fine. I think, let's see what Brian gets up to. By the way, 600 being hit. But, sorry, Bartman District, wow, 220, where did they come from? I think they were 190 when I was watching last. They got a lot of points in over there in those last few seconds. And this is the best I've seen them doing. They're usually in 7th place, I guess. So let's see what Brian comes up with in the next game. He's playing against Fireproof, a 2000 rated opponent. And we have King's Indian with c5. This is some kind of gambit. Getting the name, but you can get back that pawn after that queen a5 check. White doesn't take the pawn, simply goes knight c3, but it seems like he's stepping into some kind of preparation. Whoop, what happens after? I guess knight can simply recapture. So black really trying to stress the point that he can't take that knight. Whoa, 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 what just happened here? What? King takes. This guy is mad. You can simply go queen takes, king takes. Was that a slip? And queen check, and apparently no way to go with the king. King needs to run to the center, another check, need to give away the knight, and lost the knight because of one simple slip. And that is craziness, really, just craziness. White is not resigning. By the way, that would have been a cool square for the knight to go to had the queen been on f6. If there was a trade, the queen would be hanging. So tactically, it would have been possible for the knight to make it into the game. Fireproof saying, okay, let's continue this game. I know I made a huge blunder in the beginning, but let's see what I can do with a very, very active king. My king and my king alone is now a piece worth 4. I don't know if any of you guys have seen Yasser Sarowan's lecture on how much pieces are worth, and he will be part of my attack, and he's helping this f4 pawn move. And while you do have an extra knight, I've got a king in the position. Your king is way back. And Fireproof is going to have a tough time, actually. I'm rooting for him now, down a piece, but with an active king, and looking to advance with these pawns, maybe with the king too, all the way to the other side of the board. So go Fireproof. You can do it. By the way, that's a way for black to just trade a piece if he wants to. The king will be showing how well... What? Oh, okay, the knight was defended. I thought the rook could take. Any case, Fireproof down 3 pawns now. Less pieces on the board, and especially important to note, black's king is now active. So psychologically, this king is not the most active. Well, after the king gets to f6, it won't be the most active king on the board. But maybe while his king is more active, he's got some hope. And his hope now is for knight takes f5, which will come with a spin. But he's dropping another pawn, so he has dropped 5 pawns so far. He's only got 1 pawn left to drop. So I'm sitting here by myself thinking, what will happen first? Will the pawn drop, or will the game be over before that pawn drops? And it doesn't look like black is starting an attack on that a2 pawn for now. He is just waiting around for more pieces to come off. And white says, yeah, you can take my king, but you'll not take my a2 pawn. This a2 pawn is super solid. I've got a super solid king. I'm going to come and get checkmated before you can take this pawn. And you can checkmate me. Whoops, just kidding. I'm going to run and defend the pawn. And Fireproof. Oh no, Fireproof, you need to defend that. You've got 2 defenders and they're not there anymore. Brian is going to take that last pawn of yours, and he's going to try and checkmate you, but rather let him checkmate you. I mean, run your king into checkmate. Wait, the pawn doesn't take that way. That would have been checkmate, by the way, if the pawn could defend that square and that. Oh. And Fireproof doing a great job of defending his a5 pawn, sacked a rook, so to keep the pawn alive, and this pawn must not leave the board, otherwise I have to stop commentating this event. And it looks like he's trying to get checkmated. He resigns before it's possible for this pawn to leave the board. He loses his rook, he knows it's inevitable, he can't just defend the pawn with his king. And so he resigns the game so that I can also continue commentating this event. 653 over there for the Western Cape. Half an hour to go. Are they going to make that 150 points I was bragging about, leaving them at 800 points? And sorry, Bartman, really, this is, I think, the best tournament. Fireproof over there, we were watching him. He knows how to hang on to those A pawns and resign before he loses them. In any case, let's see what we have here in first place standings individually. Western Cape players still dominating this top 10. Oferasabi and Hans Stein have been showing their heads through this top 10 standings. But especially Chess Gamer has been keeping it consistent. Brian DP now with another quick win. Is that correct? He quickly took down Divan Potgieter, and he's waiting for pairing 53. 57, they won't get paired against each other, which makes it very interesting. And how far is... Okay, so it looks like Chess Gamer is picking up some material in his game, and might still be a while from over, while Brian is just starting a game. And both of them should be winning their games, unless Brian goes down here. There's no reason to say that this position is winning yet. Interesting, gone for some kind of c4 opening, I guess. C4, yep, and a d5, an immediate gambit. Or immediate, not a gambit, just an attack on the pawn. e4, I'm not completely convinced of this move. Felt like the e-pawn would be necessary to help get your d-pawn advanced. Now you've made this a backwards pawn. Here's his idea. He wants the knight traded. Black could have made it tricky by keeping the knight around. Now e4 makes a lot of sense, because now c3 will help a d4 shove. Literatek is playing for Joburg Metro, and in 58th place at the moment, playing against the second place position. Finding, maybe trying to force d4 and say that I'll trade. At the end of the day, I'll go knight b3, and this will be hitting the rook and the pawn, and my queen is also hitting the pawn. And it's kind of forced, I guess. You can go defend the pawn, I guess. And knight b3 is not too strong. You can just attack the knight back again. So yeah, is knight b3 the master plan? That is what I want to see now. Bishop e3. Nah, I guess he could lose material after bishop e3. Knight b... well, knight goes back. Knight b3 would have really tested, I think, Mr. Bryan's position, attacking that rook, and maybe this move is what he would have played in response, just defending the pawn in the center. It's worth quite a lot, and giving up the exchange. Bishop takes a8, a1. I always get confused between black and white side from the position. Literatek using a bit of time at the moment. I think, not exactly sure what to do with the bishop. Do you throw the bishop back to g6? White can go for d5. I mean, e5 makes a weak square on d5. Rook a d1. Just bringing the last piece into the game. And we have perfect harmony here. Oh, this looks beautiful. Disturbing the harmony. Wants to go after this weak pawn. Get rid of the piece that's stopping communication between your pawn and the queen. Very simple idea, but a5 might not be a move you want to make. Leaving that knight to the defense of the queen, and shortly the queen might become overloaded. Throws the knight back. Not going for the pawn immediately. I think that just stops the piece. So Literatic using a bit of time, realizing the tactics, which could cost them the game. Going down to 40 seconds against 2 minutes. Your opponent's going to play rook e5, maybe even just a simple old rook lift. If the rook is challenged, the g4 square could... I don't know. Okay, so a different type of rook lift. Allowing either rook to battery or access maybe a battery along this side of the board. Bishop f8, and Brian DP is probably taking this game home because of the big time edge he's got on the clock. Starts with h4. I think that's to keep up with the harmony of the position, if I have to make a joke. But g4 would have maybe been the move. Really trying to get in this e6 shove. h4, and now he's still got the bishop pair, and the harmony is very good at the moment. Moving the bishop in to the interior as he's moving the pawns up the board. And now he just needs to get this rook to a2, and the queen, well, to c1, and this pawn to d5, and it should be game over. The harmony will just be too much for his opponent to handle. He'll need to resurrect some pawns as well and put them on these squares. And in that same line I was evaluating, and with the rook here. In any case, we have what seems just to be losing on time here from Literatic, and Brian DP will be taking, well, I think still second place. I don't think he's going to be taking first place unless, let's see what happened. Chess Gamer lost, but Chess Gamer actually won a game with Fire from Berserking and is on 62. These guys are making huge points here. 738. And the chances to get to that 800 mark seem very well at the moment. Seem very, very well. We have a big pairing, by the way. Chess Gamer versus Oferasabi. He's gone berserk. And trying to get some points there for Joburg Metro against the Western Cape's top player at the moment. But seems like things are going wrong over here. Needs to play c5 to stay in the game. Moving the king should walk into mate via pawn. He's maybe considering king f6, but most things seem to be... Wait a minute, guys. That was checkmate with a pawn. Who doesn't want to play checkmate with a pawn? But Chess Gamer, he is a sadist. He goes after extra pawns and pieces and then says, checkmate with pawn, man. Okay, 747, 257, 206. There's a bit of a competition here between 3rd, 4th and 5th again. Maybe even 6th. These seem to be the very interesting places to be paired at. And this means now we've got a new player in number 3 place that I haven't seen before. And Oferasabi really trying to stick out his head against all these Western Cape players. Kenny Willenberg coming back after a while of playing. Sunnyside Bulls still in the top 10. Can the Western Cape make sure that the top 10 is only their players? Who knows? That will also be an interesting thing to see at the end of the tournament. An interesting feat. That means these players need to get above 42 with 25 minutes to go. And that actually makes me wonder. Kenny Willenberg is just done with the game. Won with Fire. 43. He also wants to catch these guys, and Chess Gamer, I think especially, who is... Why doesn't the game want to load? Just busy with the game. Let's keep to Kenny Willenberg. He seems like he's on a roll. Been berserking a while. Struggling to get his rhythm there. In the beginning, winning a few games. Then... Well, he hasn't played so many games. 13 games played. Chess Game has played 23 games, so he hasn't been playing the whole tournament, it seems. He started out as the top seed and only playing now. Okay, I'm waiting for him to get into a pairing. He does, and he's playing against Pancake Syrup. And we're seeing a Berserk game with another D5 and E4 D5 game he played earlier as well. No, we have a C6 after that, sorry. We have a... don't like this F4 move, especially because this diagonal becomes very weak. And you can kind of feel the knights and everything starting to coordinate against this diagonal. Also, this bishop can access the diagonal very quickly. Don't be surprised to, well, if that knight was still there, to see A3, bishop yoke, and some kind of sack of the knight just to... Whoa! He needed to move the bishop. Okay. Minute 36, drawing out that queen into the pin, into the line of a pin. Knight enters though. These were all very good looking moves. Bishop at G5, for instance, just stopping queenside castles. Trying to get this rook to this E8 square. But the knight move entering immediately also seems aggressive. G3 though, and your plan is to go back for check. And this could be a new potential square for the knight. Okay. Just playing very forcing chess. And King F2 would be my best bet, I think, as... But also then, you've got this bishop opening up on a line here. Don't go queen takes. Knight takes C2 check. Dropping your queen. And this will be a very quick win for Kenny. If his opponent does not resign, I'm not sure why. He's down a full queen. Kenny's got a lot of time on the clock. But it is his right to continue playing. So by all means. Now, Kenny will be taking this game home. No doubt. Getting another fork there. And that's checkmate. I think we should keep to Kenny's games. I've got a feeling he will end up in first place. Playing against the Sunnyside Bull, they've both gone berserk. And very interesting, not going for the queen trades, but keeping the tension. And also, this is sometimes a very nice square for the bishop. And he prepares that by going A4 first. And it feels like these guys are playing down theory or something. Hans Stein versus Kenny Willenberg. Or I should say it other way around. Kenny Willenberg versus Hans Stein. And I wonder how many times they've played over the board before. Kenny dropped the pawn. Playing knight versus bishop in an endgame. Don't think he's going to trade queens. He'll find another square for the queen. Don't want to simplify things too much. Maybe queen h5. It's a bit absurd. I don't think it's doing too much. Queen g6. Is there some other threat around? Queen g3, I mean. Potential squares for the queen. Rook d1. You need to really hold on to the pieces, I think, now as white. Keep the game messy. Black's up a pawn. Maybe if you can get this rook on e1 to d4, then you've achieved a lot. Also, you need to bear in mind the second rank. This is a weakness. You really want to come after this pawn, I guess. So h4. h4 immediately, yep. Queen here, this check defends the rook. And sidestepping that queen g4, rook e4. Wow, does he want to go pawn takes now? Pawn takes, and pawn takes. But king g7, king f7. Unless, okay, he wants this, but the king can run to e6. And unless h7 was the master plan. Also, that square is not available for the bishop. He can sidestep some checks for a while. Okay. Whoa, that's mate. Okay. Can he get him mated over there on 48? Chess gamer, wow, running away with this tournament. 71. And we're going to get that huge 800 just as I'm staring at the screen. 800 points over there. Sadi Bartman moving to that 300 mark. And 800 is just a huge score. The pressure is off of the Western Cape players. The Sunnyside Bull fighting back. As we just saw, that Berserk win against Kenny was a big win for him. And don't know if these two players will be catching up with the top two. That's a big difference. 10 points and, well, the chess gamer, will anyone catch up with this guy? And what is he up to? +3. He's got a rook and a pawn for a bishop. He needs to survive the following move. Yep, rook f2. And his idea, maybe just simply c7. Allowing this, starting your position with queen check and then recapturing. And suddenly he's up even more material. Inserting another check could have worked as well. But now black suddenly has nothing. And that was very instructive. The queen was just the force field against this h2 square. And after that he could just run away with the victory. And he's going to just trade down, simplify, and go after these remaining pawns. He's fine with this. He's just going to pick up pawns, make sure the king is cut off, run a pawn through. And the pawn he wants to run through is this a pawn. And just run these guys home. And barely using any time over there. He can be very happy there. 76 with fire. This is insane stuff. This is Matt Pond stuff, actually. And he's not playing today. He would have actually been showing these guys how. And he's got a game against Offer Rasabi, and this guy's gone berserk against him. He's just taking his time, saying, okay, I'm in the lead. This win will get me 4 points. No one is catching up to me. I've got this under control. I am the chess gamer. Retreats the knight from e5. I was thinking maybe he'd just go queen f6 in that position. And his opponent coming in very aggressively. Bishop e7 solves all your problems. Fortunately for you, this knight on e6 defends everything. And now he's playing up material, up on the clock. The attack was very short-lived, and he will be getting another win in very quickly. "15 minutes to go. This should be another win." He's dropped a pawn again for the position. He's up a piece through trading down that... Be careful. You don't want to have any situation where this queen jumps to this side of the board and suddenly you need to awkwardly defend the knight. So just steps out of that immediately. Defends the queen. Rook takes. Is this an idea? Rook takes is an idea. No, it's not. Unfortunately, the queen is protected. Knight takes would be the response. In any case, now picking back that pawn, picking that pawn back up, and Final tactic of the game. Rook takes, queen takes. Now you need to go queen takes. And now rook takes, and this check. The rook can fall back though, so interesting. The advantage has moved from a piece to still a piece, but now in terms of an imbalance, so an exchange. I mean, so you've got a piece, but it's worth an imbalance, and that was probably a good choice for Asabi, because sometimes just having the net weight of pieces on the board is not nice to deal with. Having the same amount of pieces, although your opponent's pieces are worth more. Okay, but here it's over. Well, rook takes a5. Rook takes a5. What was wrong with rook takes a5? Rook takes a5. Maybe rook takes a5. Bishop takes. Okay, let's just quickly see rook takes a5 over there. That was interesting. Rook takes a5. They say the problem is queen c3. Ah. I missed that one. Okay. I was just thinking maybe you've got potential for another pin. But respond to a tactic with a tactic. And chess game on 80 points. This guy is running away with the tournament. Brian TP went down. And I'm feeling sorry for the Sunnyside Bull. He's probably just getting difficult pairings the whole time, and currently in a game with Ethan Willenvogue, Maximind, who's not berserked him back, playing a super aggressive game here, gambiting a pawn here for the knight to come to this square, and I don't think it's a gambit, you might just be getting material for it. And this seems super bad for black. King, oh, this is just bad for, oh, what a nice win here for Ethan. He's getting a queen. Will the Sunnyside Bull continue playing? I don't know. Ethan will be winning this game. He dropped that d4 pawn, but I think he just moved the king in any case, knowing that he's pre-moving taking the pawn with check. There's no defending it for the while being. And here's another tactic, a nice skewer. One of these rooks is coming off of the board. And I'm thinking the Sunnyside Bull will resign now. It's, yeah, there's not much to do. That's resignable. 863. I was wrong with my prediction. No, they are not going to end on 800 points. They're probably going to end on 900. And with 11 minutes to go, I want to do the usual thing of just watching the standings while the tournament ends, as there's usually a bit of drama leading up to that end. And while we do so, let's the tournament clock is also in there, so let's just make the board slightly bigger so we still have the board okay to commentate on. 10 minutes ago, are we going to be hitting that 900 mark? And well, Chess Gamer will be doing a big job over there by helping that 900 mark from being hit, contributing 80 points and still on fire. If he gets this game in over here, he's going to be getting 4 points. His opponent has berserked him, and it seems like he's setting up a mating net with a rook to h4, where your only defensive move is g5, and his opponent didn't find it. Okay, that game could still go on for a while. I was thinking maybe it's over already, but it could still have a different result. But 875, and I think this is going to be groundbreaking if they hit that 900 mark. I think 1,000 is still way too far. 10 minutes, an extra 125 points. They've got 20 players though. So 20 players getting, how much is 125 divided by 20? Well, 7 points, 20 players. More than 7, like 7 and a bit. Some players getting 8. 8 players and 8 points in 10 minutes. Most of them need to be on fire and win quick games, If they all berserk now and manage to win 2 games in a row, I guess it's possible. Chess Gamer will maybe be getting those amounts of points. Look at him trade into an King Pawn endgame where I think he thinks he's winning. He's got some tempo moves in mind. He should have an extra tempo somewhere. He could start off by just playing he's got an extra tempo. Yeah, and then it's 1. Maybe his opponent shouldn't have started by moving the pawn 2 squares up, because now the king will enter via e5. 8 takes either way. That's 1 for him, so he's going to be getting another 4 points. 894, just as I was going to say 887. We have 898, and the 900 mark is being hit currently, and it should be hit by... Oh, that was Chess Gamer just finishing up his game, giving those 4 points. So 900 will definitely be hit. 902 is hit, and I'll be stunned if 1000 is hit. I don't think any other team will want to participate anymore. The 1000 mark. Is that possible? 8 minutes to go. If there's ever time to do it, it's probably now. The 1000 mark is huge. It looks like a lot of their players are on fire. And most of them in the top 10. If they can manage to pull it off. We don't know how many. Well, a lot of them in the top 20 as well. Not all of them though. This type of thing will require all of them to be bagging in a lot of points here before the end. Even making draws, I think, towards the end will be a means to get to that 1000 mark. And Chess Gamer is playing against Rian from the PTA club. Is that like Pretoria A club? No, that's in his name. So he's probably part of some other club, as well as the club he's representing, or his league he's representing today. 903, 7 minutes to go. I have no idea if I think 1000 stretching it. I mean, 900 in itself is such a huge feat. 4 minutes aside, this could potentially be the last game for most of the players. Saudi Bartman District on 309, they also had a fantastic tournament. I think their best tournament as well. And Joburg Metro, Ufarasabi, we'll see in the end if he manages to end up in that top 10, which seems to be predominantly Western Cape players. And then Nelson Mandela and Joburg, they seem to be on each other's tails for that 3rd place. Divan Potgieter playing really well there for Nelson Mandela. But Joburg having that huge 1st place number, 45 points. They don't even need a 20th place, but then again, Nelson Mandela don't have a 20th place. Gauteng North being led by their leader, Hans Steyn, Sunnyside Bull, on 55 points over there. He is definitely ending top 10, I want to say, with 5-6 minutes to go. He will be the upset. By the way, in the game being featured, if that knight on f6 moves, it's game over instantly. And 923, these guys are pushing it. They want to get to that mark. 923, 5 minutes to go. It feels like 10 points per minute if I needed to make a sum. And here comes a beautiful sack. A sack on e6. He wants to go queen takes on g6 and bishop takes on h6 and get that mate on the board. Try and get another pairing. 935. Can his team make it to 1000 points? I have no idea. It would be amazing. The sacrifice is rejected, but you can just simply take that knight. Or no, he says, I'll take the pawn. Now queen takes knight. And the mate idea is still on the board. And he's going to get mate in 2. There you go. Queen takes g6 check, king h8, and queen mate. That's another 4 points for the Western Cape. 88 there for Chess Game, and 940 for the Western Cape. 5 minutes to go, just under 5 minutes to go. Can Chess Gamer get a quick pairing? Maybe berserk the game. Is he going to berserk? He's playing against Fireproof. No berserk. They will play a full game. The game might not count unless it's a draw. In which case, it should be an extra 2 points there for the Western Cape and for Chess Gamer. Kenny Willenberg, you guys can't see it on the screen. Oh, he was just in second place over there, overtaken by Brian DP. That means the Western Cape goes to 952. 50 points to go. They've made 50 points so far in less than 5 minutes. It is totally possible. This is going to have me sitting on the edge of my seat. I really want them to hit that 1,000 mark. It is going to be such a huge number to get. No one would have expected it. In any case, 9:57. This is so tense. A minute has gone past and only 7 points. Chess Gamer's already picked up a piece there. Is Fireproof going to resign? He's losing a lot of material, Fireproof. Not resigning though. That means there's another 4 points that might not come home. Best is to offer a draw, I guess, by now. 3 minutes to go. You could maybe get another game in. Chess Gaming throws a check, is going to castle and be out of trouble. And Fireproof was the player that defended his A-pawn previously. We were remarking on how remarkably well he was defending that A-pawn. He's now dropped the A-pawn and lots of other pawns as well as a rook. And that queen should have gone to D5, I feel, in the game. In any case, 9:61, 40 points, 3 minutes to go. I'm starting to doubt it's going to happen. 3 minutes to go. 40 points. That is just sheer madness. 40 points. 39 points to be more precise, but I've not been seeing points roll in yet. And here could maybe be a resigner. Queen going for a mate. Queen takes A3 as mate and not given the opportunity to do so. I think Chess Gamer will be getting in another win for the tournament. Got another threat on the board. And queen takes rook now. We're going to see. Queen takes rook. And where's the mate? The mate's nearly there. Bishop check first on G3. And 9:68, 2 minutes to go. 30 points. Chess Gamer should be getting this win with fire. 92 points. Did his opponent resign? Did I miss something? Was that his 4 points coming in? I'm guessing so because I'm not seeing another move in the game. And 9:73, 27 points. 2 minutes to go. 27 points. Can they do it? 27 points. 27 points. 27 points. Chess Gamer in the comment section saying I almost got to 100. I think the tournament pairings are over. Those last 4 points of him did count. We'll be watching this bar with less than 2 minutes to go reach close to 1,000, but I don't think it's going to hit 1,000. I really hope they manage to do it. Either way, 977. This is, well, more than 980. 1 minute to go. 20 points. 20 points. Come on, offer draws, guys. Offer draws. Gotta get those points. Gotta get those points. You can do it. 982. Come on, we really need those points. 982. 18 points. 45 seconds. And 40 seconds. No more points coming in. 986. 14 points. 30 seconds. 34 seconds. 32. 990. Oh my word. Oh my word. Are we going to see just 10 more points? 20 seconds to go. Come on, guys. Come on. Come on. Come on. Yes. They need to take these draws now. 10 seconds. Oh. It's going to be heartbreaking. Ending on 994. Oh no. Oh. Okay. 990. That is really crazy. That's the biggest Corona Chess World team battle standing I have seen in my life. 10 points away. Over there. From 1,000. Well done to the Western Cape. Well done to Saudi Bartman District on your 324. Also, I think phenomenal performance by them. Their best performance. Nelson Mandela then in third. Joburg Metro in fourth. They sorted out that fight by a mere 5 points. Gauteng North fifth, 235. Also close to sixth, 227. OR Tambo chess players. Buffalo City 212. Oeverberg and Free State and City Beng. Well done to everyone that participated. Only one player, Hans Steyn, managing to get that top 10. These are the other players, all Western Cape players. Did really well today, and for us, I'll be 11th, just missing that top 10. But even top 20, dominated by Western Cape players. They really did bring their A game. Well done to them. Well done to everyone that participated, and thank you for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. Thanks for the people that organized the event. I'll see you guys soon for more South African chess games. Thank you.